Get ready for news and views from Lubbock, Texas, USA. What's going on and real talk with people who move and do things. This is the Focus LBK Show with your host, Robert Jenkins.
Hey, what's good, LBK? This is Robert Jenkins. Want to welcome y'all to Season 3, Episode 136 of the Focus LBK Show. We are in studio with my good friend Steve Taylor. He is the manager of Kingdom Towers Transitional Housing Facility over here on, I think it's on 16th and...
16th and Avenue Q.
16th
Yep.
and Q.
Right.
And, man, I hooked up with Steve. I've known Steve about 3 or 4 years now, I guess. And met him at a deal where we were talking about returning citizens. Shout out to that brother Rookie Gaines, but he was having a thing over at the library about Returning Citizens Association. Right. And Steve was on the front row, and this why I remember him, because he was sitting on the front row. You see, he's a rugged, good-looking chap, and he's sitting up there. And then all of a sudden, man, at the end he raised his hand, and he's got a deep voice on him. He said some deep stuff. Hit some scriptures on him, had some passion and stuff. I moved the camera on. I say, who is that guy? And then after a while, we hooked up, and come to find out, he's involved with that kind of Returning Citizens Association type of situation, meaning people that are just getting out of prison. And man, we just been friends for quite a while. And I look at Steve and Steve Taylor and his good buddy Stephen Canup. They're kind of like they're ministers. And I look to them, I like to listen to them talk. They both passionate, they both well-spoken, and they both bring out a lot of good stuff about the word. So today on this show, I think we're going to be talking about scriptures. We're going to be talking about old Lubbock. We're going to be talking about, man, we just going to conversate, as they used to say. I think the real word is converse, but
probably, but
we're going to conversate.
We're going to conversate. I'll go for that.
Yeah. How you been, Steve?
I've been doing well. Busy.
Yeah.
Busy as always.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good busy.
Good. Like we were just saying, you stop moving, man, you might fall down. So I like to keep moving,
Right. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were telling me there was a trip you were taking down to a prison on Wednesdays once a month. Which prison was that? And tell us what you do. Tell us about them crusades and stuff like that.
Well, we go into crusades. Kingdom Towers does. Spirit of Boldness is the one that actually operates Kingdom Towers Transitional Housing. That's the 501c3 that operates that. Mm-hmm. But we also go in with Freedom in Jesus Prison Ministry on their crusades. And then I have set some things up that Kingdom Towers and Spirit of Boldness do throughout the course of the month. And Fort Stockton is the one that you're referring to, the Lionel unit there. Jennifer Velasquez and I go down there once a month, the fourth Wednesday of every month, and do a service for them at 12 o'clock. So it's quite a trek, but it's worth it. I like that chaplain down there. She's very dedicated to her job and needs the help down there. So we've been doing that for about a year now.
How far is Fort Stockton?
Fort Stockton is about 240 miles.
Okay. What's that, about 3 hours?
Yeah, three and a half hours.
Yeah. Okay, that is a little trek.
It is.
You said, I think y'all had a wedding type of ceremony or something.
Well, no, Jennifer and I did a marriage seminar for Chaplain Edwards. That's the chaplain there. She asked us to do a wedding seminar, or a marriage seminar, actually, for married couples to come in and us minister to them. So the wives, it's a male facility, of course, so the wives had to come from whatever part of the state that they lived in, some far away as Houston and Amarillo. And we spent the afternoon and the morning with them. We catered some meals and brought in some roses for the ladies, and they were together and in a situation like that for the first time in X number of years.
Right.
So we did that, and we ministered to them as well. Mm-hmm. And we just went down through, and we talked about what the Word of God says about their marriage and their different roles in the marriage institution itself. Mm-hmm. And we got it biblical instead of how the world may view that. So
yeah, that's always I know a lot of people that are I think they don't like, especially modern women. I think don't like what the biblical take on marriage is, and they see it as being subservient sometimes. And
Yes, probably so, Robert. But I don't really view it that way. They both have an equal say so in the decision making process. But at the end of the day, it's really up to the male to make that decision, and he's the one that's responsible in the eyes of God because he is the spiritual leader of that home. So, but I don't think a woman should feel demeaned or in any way in that. I mean, they are partners. They're one in Christ. When they were married, they're no longer two, but they're one. The Word says that. So if they're looking at it like that, I think they're looking at it from the wrong perspective.
yeah, I feel like that too. And I know a couple of people that I think they kind of go to them kind of churches with the female preacher or whatever you want to call it, and I think they get that kind of message from them.
Well, maybe so, but I don't view it like that at all.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the proper way to look at it.
Yeah, when the Bible says we're one flesh, like me and my wife just celebrated our 24th anniversary.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. We went up to Oklahoma City. We ain't been this close to Oklahoma all my life. I ain't never been there.
Okay.
I said, that's kind of silly. So let's go to Oklahoma then. So we went to OKC, and I feel like this little trip that we had, it was kind of like an encapsulation of our whole life together. It was some fun. It was some museums, some learning, some tornadoes around us.
Well,
and some bumpy, dirty dirt roads. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're in Tornado Alley as well.
Yeah,
they really are.
Yeah, and I was just to bring it back to that whole marriage thing, man. That's when they say you're one flesh. Ben Franklin said. He said a man and a woman by themselves are like one half of a scissor. They don't do nothing good. It's not a whole tool. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't do anything.
I've never heard that analogy, but I like that.
I do too. You got to put the man and woman together to make Franklin said you got to put them together to make a complete human.
All right.
That's one being once they come together.
That's interesting.
That's when they work. The pair of scissors works when you got both halves.
Sure.
And that's what I have discovered, and I just feel like sometimes the people that I've heard, talking about that's not the same. That was written back in the days, but it's not looked at like that anymore. And I'm like, well, yeah. Well, it keeps things real peaceful and functioning. It seems like.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, somebody has to be like the head of the household to me. And as y'all can see, we just chatting, we just talking. I don't know. But to me, the head of the household it don't mean that you run anything. It means you're responsible for everything.
That's the key. Yeah, the male is going to be held responsible for the good and bad decisions that are made there. Mm-hmm. But I do believe they're to come together and let's talk about our decisions and let's see how each other feel and work together on this. I mean, you're a team.
Yep.
It should be that way.
Yep. I remember I was just thinking when me and my wife, the whole family, when we got stationed up in Maryland, that was about 2009, and we went up there and we were looking around for houses and stuff, and the kids were in Georgia. We had them waiting in the wings until we found a place, and everywhere we went, the realtor took us to look over here. I just looked at my wife. Her face, she didn't even say nothing. Her face I was like, nope. We go to the next place. Nope. We go to the next place. Nope. We went to another place. Yep, that's the one. We can do this one.
Yeah. So you got the okay then? Is that what you're telling me?
What I'm saying, yeah. And what I've realized, she ain't got to say nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I could look at her face and say, nope, this ain't gonna work. This ain't.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, it's I don't know. It's just not even It's about paving the way, and like I said, both parties I think are equally responsible, or equally weighted. But one person has to be the person that gets the spanking or the pat on the head or the nod to go this way or the nod to go that way. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't even know why we got into that. That's just something I was just thinking about. And,
but we were talking about that marriage seminar. It was a lot to it, but it was worth all the effort and all the finances that were poured into it because of one thing. There was a marriage that was really on the rocks, and they were really at the point where they were fixing to call it quits. But because of what the Lord did through that seminar, they're going to give it one more run at it, and maybe their marriage can be saved. So if nothing else came out of those 12 or 15 couples that we ministered to that day, it made it worthwhile just for that.
What advice did y'all give them, or where in the Word did y'all show? What was their problem, and what seemed to fix it?
It wasn't. We weren't speaking to them like a one-on-one situation. It was just through the course of the whole event, the scriptures that we read, and how they were to work together according to what the Word of God says. We went through those in several different places in 1 Peter, and of course Genesis. It starts off, and so on and so forth. It's all throughout the Bible. In Ephesians, there's some more scriptures about husbands and wife and how they're to treat each other. And so we just went through those, and I guess the light went on that maybe they weren't walking in the way they should, and they were getting each other out of place, and the bickering had to stop. They needed to come together and be one, like the Word says.
What got you started in doing this work, this type of work, and doing Kingdom Towers and all that?
Well, I spent 30 years in the oil refineries. That's really my background. I have myself been to the penitentiary twice, and so when I got out this last time in 2008, after a few years, I started going back into the prisons and ministering with Freedom in Jesus Ministries, and around 2017, 2018, I was getting ready to retire out of the oil refineries. After all that, I started the Spirit of Boldness Ministries, applied and got the 501c3 to do that, to help men. So I'd already been going back into the prisons for about 6 years at this time.
Okay.
So, and the timing of it was Ron Beatonbow had started Kingdom Towers back in 2015, and at that particular time when I was getting ready to retire, I had met him, and he had asked us to come in and start doing some Bible teachings and classes at Kingdom Towers, and so I met him like that, and he said, seeing that he needed to change the management that he had at the facility at the time, which at that time they only had about 20 guys in there.
Okay.
But anyway, so the timing was perfect, and he asked me to if I would consider coming and managing the facility for him. So it was, God's sovereign timing in that, and I wound up accepting and going on board and doing that. And of course, it's grown through the years. And in 2021, he actually made it possible for Spirit of Boldness to become the owner of the whole facility, which it is at this time. And we usually house about 75 to 85 guys at any one point in time.
Yeah.
So it's grown quite a bit through the years. We're at capacity now with the facility that we have, but we're really trying to help these guys coming out of incarceration.
When you came out of incarceration, what did you have to help you?
I didn't have a support group like that facility. My mother, when I came out in 2008, my mother had passed away about 4 months before that. So I just had friends, of course, and I had a job availability here in the Lubbock area while I was still on parole.
Right.
And that was a big deal. And I had my daughter and one of my sons were still living here.
Okay.
And so they helped me out a lot. But that was basically my support.
I don't know if you folks have ever been to an assisted like transitional housing, assisted living facility. I've been to one before, and that was a long time ago when I was a kid. It was called Leisure Life, I think it was, and some kind of way my uncle and his wife were managing it or something. I don't know. I was in 4th grade. I don't know exactly what the
Right.
what the setup was, but I remember it was vets, or it was some men that were having some issues. And some of them might have been returning citizens or ex-cons, whatever you want to call them. And I will tell you for a fact, it was definitely not as, it was not like Kingdom Towers. Kingdom Towers is, when you go over there, first of all, everybody seems cool and cordial, but there's an underlying sense of discipline and rules.
Right.
It doesn't. It's not like military or anything like that. It's not, it's not like jail or anything like that. But it's like there's an atmosphere where things are tolerated, certain things are tolerated, and certain things aren't tolerated. That's what the feeling I get, and everybody there seems to
Yeah,
be more conforming to that.
we have a basic set of rules, but it's nothing extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rules that normal citizens themselves live by each day.
Right.
Okay. And I never wanted to run the facility like a true halfway house, where they bring them out of prison, they don't allow them to have phones, they won't let them work for a period of time, they can't go anywhere for a period of time. In other words, it's very, very controlling.
Right.
And I never thought that was the way for men to transition back out of incarceration, because you're not allowing them to move forward. Mm-hmm. So my philosophy is to bring them in, try to remove a lot of the barriers that are right in front of them, so they don't get frustrated and go back to doing what got them in trouble to start with.
Yeah. And
come along beside them and help them walk through all these things to help them achieve their goals that they have in life.
Yeah.
And we've created a sense of community at Kingdom Towers to the point to where it's a family gig now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have such a great core group of guys that have been there for a number of years, and they help us a lot with the guys coming in, because they've already started walking this out and got some success behind them already. So the guys are already there, help a lot. It's not just the staff that does this.
Yeah.
But I tell every guy that comes into the facility, Robert, that you're stepping into God's business. Please do not disrespect that, and we'll get along fine. So they know that right up front, okay?
And to me, that seemed, boy, if you told me that, I'm the kind of guy, I look at that kind of serious. To this day.
Well, I am serious.
Yeah. I look at it like, because I feel like right now, God is always looking at you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a childish way of feeling about it, but that's the way I feel. And so certain things I just can't do anyway, because I feel like God is looking at you.
Well, he is.
Right.
I mean, he's an omnipresent God. He sees everything, knows everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably not, that sounds naive, I guess, for me to say that. I feel like some people are going to look at it and be like, oh, this dude is 52 years old. He still think that. But I can't escape the conviction of that feeling. I feel convicted that it's happening.
Well, you know what that is?
What's that?
That's the Spirit of God residing in you.
See,
letting you know that he's right there. He's with you. He knows all of our thoughts and everything. He knows what we're going to say next.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. One of the things that I used to struggle with, that Kingdom Towers, meeting you and seeing the guys at Kingdom Towers, and also Freedom in Jesus, it's actually helped me understand something, or start understanding and accepting something about Scripture. And a long time ago, when I used to read the Bible and stuff, I used to read Jesus is what he said, and then sometimes I would read what Paul would say, and I was like, that seems like they're saying different things. And I was like, well, Paul also used to kill Christians too. So if he's saying something different and he used to kill Christians, I was like, I'm just going to stick over here with what Jesus said. And I'm starting to reevaluate that, because, first of all, Jesus set the example in the Bible where he was always seen with sinners, prisoners and prostitutes, and I think it says, I don't know what verse it is, but I think it says sinners, prostitutes, even tax collectors. Like that's worse than both of them. It's like, okay, yeah, sinner, prostitute, yeah, but tax collectors too. Golly, boy, he was with tax collectors. But looking at that, I started and then meeting the guys up at Kingdom Towers and Freedom and Jeep going in and stuff like that, and I started realizing, well, these are the old forms of those people. The new form, the new man, they're not the same person. And God uses people like that all the time and transforms people like that all the time. I was just reading the other day where Moses, it was actually in Acts, but Peter was recounting when Moses killed the dude and all that. And you say, well, dang, he killed the dude, not really in cold blood, but kind of self-defense-y situation. But I don't think God necessarily liked that. But he repented and became God's right-hand man, basically, at that
Are
time.
you talking about when he had when he broke up the fight between the between the men and when they were still slaves, when they were still in Egypt? Yeah.
And he killed one of them, and then the next day, I think it said he went to another dude and tried to break up a fight or something.
Right.
The dude said, "What you gonna do? You gonna kill me too?"
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's when Moses felt like he had to flee because he went out to the desert for 40 years. Yeah,
that was a
before
trip.
God instructed him to come back and lead his people out of Egypt.
So I just looking at that causes me, my experience with Freedom in Jesus and Kingdom Towers, that just caused me to start reevaluating how you think about Paul, for example, and his past,
Right.
and realizing, well, he was a different person.
Right.
He was transformed.
Well, he went from being an extremely religious person, a Pharisee,
Yeah.
into a true follower of Christ. And there's such a stark difference there between the old man and Paul when he was a Pharisee, and he was a Pharisee among Pharisees. He was working his way up the ladder, and he was getting to the top of the ladder. I mean, he was one of the most educated men of that sect, of that group. I mean, he stuttered under Gamaliel, which would be equivalent to going to a high-end university now. That was his teacher. So he went from that, and in God's sovereignty, this was all a setup. I mean, the Lord knew he was going to use Paul one of these days, and he gave him an education, and he had to have that education to write all the letters with all the that he did in the New Testament. He wrote a lot of the New Testament, but it was because of that education. He was so well spoken. So, it was one of God's setups. You know?
He made that happen just the way he wanted it to.
Just the way he wanted to at the right time.
Yeah, I'm still. I won't say I'm 100% over the way I used to feel, but I definitely understand. Like, nah, you gotta. That's not the right way of thinking about that.
Yeah, he's. Jesus, he is our salvation. Our salvation is in the form of Jesus Christ himself. But the gospel was just, Jesus was starting to share his gospel and what it looked like. And Paul being given the gospel by the power of the Holy Spirit, through the Holy Spirit, began to write those letters, and all the gospel is there, okay, within that. But it was Jesus revealing it to him to get his church set up. And Paul was a great part of that, especially with the Gentiles. That's who he was commissioned to take the gospel to. He tried preaching and sharing the gospel with the Pharisees, but they didn't want to hear it. So Paul finally just had to dust his feet off, if you will, with the Pharisees, of which he was one at one time. And he just basically he preached the gospel to the Gentiles.
I was reading, I can't remember what book it was, the other night, and I was familiar already with that passage where Paul was looking on when they stoned Stephen, I think. But the way the Bible relays it is chilling, because it says they stoned him and they beat him all up and killed him. It says he went to sleep, and then the chapter ends, and then another chapter starts, and the first sentence in that chapter, it says something like, basically Paul saw it and he liked it.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, that's not the quote. I can't remember.
It's not the quote, but I know where you're talking
and
about. He approved of it.
Yeah.
He was standing there. He was probably the one that instigated the whole thing to start with, because he was the one that the Pharisees were giving the execution orders to arrest these people and arrest these people. So, and he doesn't come out and say that directly in Scripture, so please don't understand me, but he had to approve it because he was standing there watching.
Yep.
And
the way that chapter ends, and there's some white space, and then the chapter whatever.
Yeah.
And the first thing it says is, yep, he saw it and he approved it or something. I was like, man, they set that off in a weird way that makes you say, ooh. But then he changed.
Yeah.
That's a trip, man.
Yeah, he got changed on the road to Damascus. He had an encounter with Jesus on the road to Damascus.
It's funny. I know all these stories, and you've heard them a million times in church and Read around them a couple times, you know. But then
Right.
you go back and refresh your memory on it. Like you see a lot of little stuff on it. Like,
Yeah, stuff that you missed reading it and talking about it.
You gotta
several
read it
times.
yourself, too.
Things that's the key. Those things will jump out at you if when you read it like that. One little spot that you saw, maybe you never noticed it before, but all of a sudden it jumped out at you, and you thought, he approved that murder. That was a murder.
Yeah.
He was approving it.
that's chilling. That's what I'm saying. That's chilling. That'd be like a gang, or you see a gang of people beating somebody up, and it's a dude standing back in the shadows going.
Oh,
I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still stuck on that. Like, man,
it was all for a reason, all for a purpose.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was because the way it turned out.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you think there's when you look at the news today, do you see any purpose to anything?
I see so much confusion and
Just
chaos.
craziness.
I can't make sense of all this, to be quite honest with you. You know, with the big news stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to think about all of it. I don't believe we can. I don't believe we can believe anything that we're told.
That's number one.
That's number one.
Yep.
And to me, it looks people change their opinions and their thoughts day to day. Even our leaders, they'll say one thing one day and something else another. So there's no consistency in what's coming out of their mouths. The whole thing, I'll be quite frank with you, looks orchestrated to me. And this 2-week little ordeal we're having over in Iran is drug on for a little bit longer than that, and we're in no better shape than when we started.
Right.
And that's the type of thing. And I don't know. I really don't want to get off into that.
Yeah,
you know. But it's just that's the world stage and what's going on.
Yeah. I think I wrote.
It's just craziness.
Yeah. I think I wrote. I have a publication called Thoughts from My Moon Mind, and I don't really keep up with it too much because my main publication is Focus LBK.
Right.
And Thoughts from My Moon Mind is just that. It's just thoughts I have, and if I have some time, I scribble some stuff down. But I remember one of the last things I wrote on there was like, to me, I felt like Trump getting reelected.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a setup, and I felt like
Yeah.
that first assassination attempt was somehow a setup or a staged event
I agree with you.
to put him over the hump and get him in office.
Sure.
So he could start some kind of war.
Yeah.
And I think I wrote that down. Y'all can check me out. Go to Thoughts
Yeah.
from My Moon Mind. Check it out. I think I wrote something about that.
I can agree with you. Be quite honest with you, I do not think that Kamala Harris is who they portrayed her as. I think she's a lot better spoken lady than what she portrayed. You know, because all the salad answers that she gave and stuff. I think she's smarter than that.
Right.
But I think that's part of the setup. And him, the attempted assassination. I really don't know how much of that happened. I know they lost a life or two in that of innocent people. I'd hate to think that the government was that devious, but who knows? You know, you can go back to John F. Kennedy assassination, and I don't believe that Lee Harvey Oswald did that by himself.
I don't think
so. I don't believe that this young kid was able to get up there by himself. I think it was
Right.
orchestrated somewhere or another. I believe that.
I had a guest on months ago, or maybe a year ago. He was a firearms instructor. He was living here in Lubbock at the time. He's gone back to like Oregon now, so he's not here anymore. But he was also a former military guy like myself. But whereas I was intelligence, so we're mainly in the office, you know, listening to stuff and transcribing stuff. He was a field guy, so he was I think Marine. Yeah, I think he was a Marine, and he did some personal protective details and some door kicking, you know, all that actual combat stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember asking him, I was like, from what I know of that kind of detail, it should not have been possible for that dude to be 130 something yards from President Trump in Butler. That should not have.
How could it happen?
That is not possible.
It is not possible unless it was allowed to happen.
Unless it was allowed to happen.
I believe that.
And then I was telling my wife one time, and a few months ago, and we looked at it. I said, I zoomed in on his ear. Right on the day of, right there when they had him, I zoomed in on it. And he had some blood on his ear, but no damage to his ear.
You know what I've always thought? One of those little blood capsules that those wrestlers used to pop to make themselves bleed. That was my first thought.
Yep. I looked at his ear and his face. He had a little splash there and a little, like looked like somebody went.
Yeah, I know.
I looked at it. I was like, there's nothing wrong with his ear. It's just red.
It's just red.
So I just kept that to myself. I think that's the first time I ever said that out loud to anybody else.
Well,
but
there's something very wrong with all of it, including the Secret Service agent that was about 5'2".
Yeah.
That was protecting him. That was more worried about her sunglasses.
Yeah.
That she was trying to protect him than she was him. Did you ever
I
notice
saw
that?
I saw them pictures. Yeah, and I saw the video.
She kept fumbling around with those glasses, dropped them once, and reached down and picked them up.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what kind of protection is this?
How you got somebody shorter than you that's supposed to block a bullet?
Yeah. Well, the tall guys were behind him.
Right. So I say all that. I go down that detour just to say I pretty much agree with you. I think this is the dude went from saying he's totally against war. Now we in a pointless war for no reason that I can tell. Just 180 flip flop.
Things he's done in Venezuela too.
Why do you,
and the powder keg in Cuba.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So I don't. Here's what I believe. I believe that the Republican, Democrat, whoever it is, I think they're all on the same team.
I do too.
And they're just wearing different uniforms.
Yeah, it's wrestling.
It's wrestling.
Yeah.
That probably is.
It's wrestling. It's Undertaker. I don't even know wrestling. My days when I used to watch wrestling, it was Kerry Von Erich and the Iron Sheik or somebody. This was back in '82.
Right. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's Kerry Von Erich.
Haystack Calhoun.
Yeah. It's a heel versus the good guy.
Yeah.
But they manager is the same dude.
Yep.
And they both splitting the check.
It's all a show.
Yep.
I try not to get too deep into it. I mean, I believe a person needs to be aware of what's going on around him, but I have zero faith in any of it.
Right.
I'm not looking at them for the answer to anything.
Nope.
I'm looking to the Lord and His sovereignty to have His way at the end of the day, and I know that He will. So I'm just going to keep doing what I believe the Lord's assigned me to do, and keep working with these guys and going into prison and just preaching Jesus, the true salvation, what true salvation is, the real gospel, and keep doing that and not be focused on all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Because that stuff will get you distracted.
Yeah, I think that's the point of it. Keep your head spinning and keep you not knowing which way is up.
Yeah.
And keep you mad at your neighbors for no reason.
Yeah, just because they got a Democrat bumper sticker on, you're going to hate them.
Right.
But they're always causing division, and that's what they want.
I think taking it back to the Bible, I think it say in there somewhere that Satan is the author of confusion. I ain't good at quoting verses and stuff, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that often.
It is. That's one of his goals. Keep things in turmoil.
Yeah. I was I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he's a leftist liberal type of guy, but he was saying what he can't understand is why so many Christians were down with Trump. And I was saying, well, they were like, look at what this guy did. Look at Iran. Look at Venezuela. Look at all this. And I said, well, he never said he was a Christian. He said, in fact, I think he said he wasn't.
He said he's been several different things.
Yeah,
okay, that's moved around too.
Right. But here's the thing that I told him. I said, but the thing that I, as a Christian, there's certain things you can't do, and certain things you can't be down with. So, whereas the Democrat Party seems to make just a point of loving abortion and loving LGBTQ and loving things that as Christians you go, wow, man, I can't mess with that. I ain't judging you or nothing, but I'm just saying I can't do it, and I can't be down with it. And so I said I think a lot of Christians are down with Trump or were down with Trump, or if they still are, not because he was a Christian or he was some good goal to flock to, but it seemed like they was doing everything on the other side possible to push you away from them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I was telling him, and that's the first time I ever voiced that too, and just came out with that. The certain platforms, it's like, man, I don't even want to be seen near that.
Yep. Well, I mean, obviously, what you can't believe what they say. I mean, they try to represent certain groups, and it's all for votes.
Yep.
Okay,
They don't care about people actually at all.
they don't care about the people, but they have to align themselves with certain groups where there's a majority group in there for the votes and the electoral stuff, and they do that.
Yep.
And he was successful at it. Biden was successful at it in his run with what he did.
Yep.
So, but they just do that, and they're just. I really don't think they have any agendas except to promote the platform that the puppet masters are telling them to promote. I believe there are a set of puppet masters in this world that are really controlling everything.
I do
and
too.
of course, it's the financial families of the world that.
Trump even said, if you think about it, when you going back to 16 when they was having debates, or 15 or whatever that was, he even said, I've voted both ways and I go basically with both parties. I'm a businessman, so whoever I need to pay to get it done, that's where I'm gonna go.
That's the art of the deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly. I felt like what we're seeing right now, though, I agree. Everything on the world stage to me seems to be a setup, and it seems to be. I thought COVID was one of those things where they were trying to accomplish something with it, got us pretty close, and then it didn't quite work. People started getting hip to it and started pushing back a little bit. I thought it was when Trump came back for the second term, I was like, hey, he going to come back. And then, it's like I say, as soon as you saw that assassination, I said, oh, that attempt, I said, oh, he just got reelected right there.
Yep.
He just got reelected.
Yeah.
That's weird. That usually doesn't happen too much in politics.
Yeah, and they even used God in that. He was ordained not to be killed.
Right.
God saved him through that so he could be the president. I
Right,
mean,
right.
they took that narrative quick.
Yeah, they sure did.
And
They sure did.
I was just shaking my head.
Yeah, what the kids say, SMH.
Yeah.
Shaking my head. They I don't know, man. I'm getting to the point now. Like I say, I follow that stuff. I used to be an Intel analyst. I'm retired and been retired, but used to follow that stuff for work. You have to be aware.
Yeah, it was
Just
your job.
Yeah, it's just a habit to still follow it, but I'm getting to the point where I look at it, like you say, I call it actionable intel. I just follow the news to, yeah, we probably need to make sure we save a little money on this, or probably need to, get some of this before it goes out of stock, or, I see they moving over there. I might need to do this. But as far as like getting caught up in it, it's utterly meaningless, actually.
Well, they can run you around in circles with it because the narrative's always changing. Their objective hasn't,
right?
But the narrative does all the time.
Yeah,
just to keep you running around. They want division. They want people against each other. That's how one way they control people, and through fear, of course. That's the biggest tool that they use.
Yep.
And that's a lot of what COVID was all about.
Yep. That's one of the reasons that tipped me off to it, not to go with it. First of all, the first thing I saw with COVID was the people that was behind it. A dude named Neil Ferguson. He was behind hoof and mouth disease in England, and he's the one that he comes up with these computer models. And they always come out with the scariest possible numbers. Oh, it's going to be 72 billion people die.
The doom and gloom deal, huh?
That's his job. And then after that, I came to this conclusion. Like that's what he gets paid for. Yeah. He's always terribly wrong. With the hoof and mouth thing, I think he said 10 million animals was going to die or something in the United Kingdom, and it turned out it was like 172, but they killed 2 million to stop the rest of them from dying for no reason.
Right.
And it was like, well, that was a waste of everything. And then in COVID, when he came out, he did the same thing. He had, it's going to be 500 billion people die. I was like, wait a minute. I remember that name. I looked them up. And long story short, what I'm saying is you start catching on to the patterns and the players.
Right. Okay.
And that's when
I'm not familiar with him. But.
Yeah. Well, then you see Bill Gates, and he's the same.
Yeah.
Like, who really is going to take something from Bill Gates?
Yeah.
I mean, the names and the people and the patterns and the play, they run the same plays too. But like you said, fear is one of the things they like to do. So when they keep trying to make you scared, to me, that means you need to stop, evaluate, and maybe consider doing the opposite of what they're saying, or at least step back and see what happens without doing anything.
See what's coming next.
Right. Don't just be like, oh, they saying jump off the cliff. Oh, let's go do it. Boy, this is the virus over there. You got to... Nah, y'all can jump off the cliff. I'm gonna see what happened to y'all. That's just my motto, and
Yeah.
this is the conclusion I done reached.
I turned the page on that real quick in that whole scenario. I didn't know what to think at first when in February or March, whenever that first started happening.
Yep.
So I tried to start gathering as much information as I could, and of course I had all these guys at Kingdom Towers that I have to watch out for too. So I wanted to do the right thing.
Of course, yeah.
So I was probably just ran down from working so much or running so hard, but I felt a little bad, and I don't know if it's psychosomatic or not.
Right.
But I went and I took a test, a COVID test. Okay, and at up here at Walgreens up at Mac Davis and Avenue Q.
Yeah.
And so they sent me the results, and it was positive, and I didn't like that. Okay,
Right.
So I went to the health clinic over here at Larry Combest and did another one, and they said I was positive again.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, well, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to step back. I'll run Kingdom Towers from the house, drive by up front and sign paperwork I need to sign just to protect my guys. And so got to it, and I was okay in a few days. And I got a hold of Jennifer, and she got me some real medication. Okay, Jennifer Velasquez, our my in-house nurse, but bless her heart, she helped a lot of people through that ordeal. But it was ivermectin and that protocol, and so 3 or 4 days I was feeling fine.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I waited a couple of weeks, and I went down to a clinic, a doctor's office, and had them pull some blood and checked to see if I had the antigen. So I never had COVID. That's when Steve Taylor turned the page on the whole thing. I stopped believing anything that they said after that.
So you got 2 positive tests, and then after you get better, they test your blood, and you ain't never had it.
That's
because you have no antibodies to it.
Yeah, exactly right. So, yep. So that's when I knew right then. We had to look at this closer, and I got with Jennifer more, and she was explaining what she saw from the medical side of it and what it really was. And of course, we both know how this story shook out and how they kept people in bondage for a couple of years over this. And that's what it was. It was a control thing.
It was,
and it was successful to a certain degree on their part.
That's what, and as my viewers know and people know me know, that's what ran us back to Texas.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I know where you stand with it, and I respect that. I'm glad that you did, or I never would have got to meet you if you hadn't done that. So,
right. And it, you know what too? I used to be a little bitter and a little bit upset about it. I was like, the job that I had in Virginia, it's doing what I do, it's making movies, but the pay was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I was exorbitant pay. I was like, they paying me this much to make movies? Well, I take it.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, this is the best job I ever had in my life. I say, man, baby, we're gonna stay up here about 5 years, man. We're gonna make some money, man. We're gonna move back to Texas and buy a house with cash, and we had some plans. You know what I'm saying?
You were stacking it up, weren't you?
And then all of a sudden, they was like, oh, you got to get that. Yeah, I was what? I ain't got to get nothing. Yes, you do. No, I don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I say, man, long story short, we came back here, but yeah, that you're right. It's just a game now where you got to just sit back to the side of the table and let everybody else play cards. I'm just watching the game.
Yep, that's the way I feel too, Robert. I really do. I'm not gonna play into it. I'm gonna let them have it. Just do what I think I need to be doing.
Yeah. And it feels like the country is so divided right now.
It is, and it's probably going to stay that way.
Yeah, how do you come back? If people been telling you were a grandma killer, and you support Hitler?
Yeah.
For 10 years now, it's been 10 years. How do you come back from that?
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do with that? I'm cool. I'm the same dude I always was. But I mean, in other words, I just don't see how you draw back together after that. And that's what I try to do with this show, though. We talk about this kind of stuff, but I'm talking about it from the standpoint of let's heal it if we can. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let's not get played off against each other. I always thought it was weird how in the United States, this is the birthplace of Western democracy outside of Greece, ancient Greece or whatever.
Right.
Birthplace of modern democracy. We only have 2 parties. The reason you have 2 parties is because that's how it's a dialectic. You can control them both, and you can make this one do this, and you can get the reaction, which is what you want. The action is always in the reaction. You get the reaction, then you let this one do it, and then you get the reaction over here. You're not going back and forth. It's not left and right. You're going to a goal, but you're being steered there by a ping pong method, by people giving you left and right input.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. I look at it like the pinball in a pinball machine, just bouncing off one bumper to another, and that's what you're referring to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they call it the dialectic, the Hegelian dialectic or something. Action, reaction, thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. What I always wanted to kind of turn it back to Kingdom Towers and some of the things that you're seeing there. What do you think are some of the most fraught or the most dangerous things for men that are trying to turn their lives around? Some of the pitfalls. What are some of the traps and snares that you see, that you steer them away from?
Well, sadly to say, they're wanting to move too fast when they get out. Mm-hmm. You know, they feel like they have to make up for lost time, and which you can never do. Mm-hmm. That time is gone. You know, I try to get guys to start just right where they are and start trying to make something from that point forward. Mm-hmm. And, of course, they left a trail with things on it that some of those things they may need to fix. Some of them need to be just to leave them alone. Mm. But oddly enough, one of the pitfalls is trying to get back into relationships too quick with women before they're really ready. Yeah, because they usually wind up not picking godly women. Mm-hmm. Okay. They're picking women for other reasons, mm-hmm. and that's a big pitfall. Mm-hmm. And ironically enough, prosperity is a pitfall as well, because a lot of them have never really been prosperous in the right way before, mm-hmm. and sometimes they'll let that get out of control and get out there a little bit farther than they need to. And the drug situation in this country is just so demonic, and it is killing people right and left, and that is really one of the pitfalls that you really have to watch out for. Is rewarding themselves after they do well for a period of time. Mm-hmm. They think it'll be okay to go out and just one more round and then I'm through with it. Yeah. But it's not the way that works out, because once you start down that road again, it's without someone stopping you, usually the law, you're probably not going to stop by yourself. Mm. So it's drugs and alcohol and even, you know, bad relationships. Oh, yeah. Those are the main pitfalls, I think. Mm.
How do you, I think one of the ways, from what I've seen, one of the ways you try to keep them away from, you know, on the straight and narrow, so to speak, is through, well, I think you call it right doctrine.
Correct doctrine. Yeah, I try. Our main objective down there is really to teach them the Word of God, what the Word of God says, mm-hmm. in the context of the Bible, not what other people are telling you it says. That's an issue. But teaching that, and then being able to apply that to their everyday lives. Mm-hmm. Now, if you can do that, they can start walking this out successfully. Mm-hmm. And of course, one of the fruits of the Spirit, you have to be truly saved first, okay? But one of the fruits of the Spirit, when you are truly saved, when Jesus truly saved you, is self-control. Mm. And I try to teach guys that, the self-control, the fruits of the Spirit, okay? And ironically enough, a lot of times I have to go back through with these guys in the Bible studies that we have and other things that we do, and unteach some of the things they've been taught. Because when they're in prison, they have all different kinds of denomination and belief systems coming in and teaching, and it can be quite confusing because everybody thinks they have their own take on what the Word of God says. Yeah, and they'll take things and twist them a little bit, I believe, and this and that. And I try to get things untwisted to the best of my ability. I'm not saying that I understand everything and I've got everything perfectly right, but I try sincerely to keep it as simple as it really is. The gospel of Jesus is not a complicated thing. There's not things attached to it that you have to do. Jesus has already done all of it. And that's part of some false doctrine, I think, that is out there. It's turning things into a works-based religions. Okay? When Jesus saves you, you're saved. That's the end of it.
Yeah, one of the things I'm working with and dealing with myself is I don't know, I like to, like we were talking about earlier, I like to constantly move, and that's just in my nature. I like to do stuff, I like to pitch in where I can and help out where I can and do what I can. And I always liked the concept of, I know you can't get saved by works, but I was reading something the other day. It was the Pauline paradox or something like that. Heard it at church the other day. And I looked it up and I was like, see, this is what I've been dealing with this whole time. Paul basically, in a way, says you get saved by Jesus. You don't get saved by nothing you do, like you say. He said, but if you are saved, you should be doing things. Because if you have that feeling deep in your heart that you are saved, you have the goodness, you want to share the message, you want to follow the example of Christ, then you start doing stuff.
Yeah.
Works. The works didn't save you, but the works are a reflection of you being saved.
Inherently, you will, because you have the power of God residing in you upon your salvation. So you should process things differently. You should want to do things differently. You should look at things differently. You should process things differently. You should speak differently, and you should treat others differently. So if you're truly saved, there's no way around that. Right. You're going to do that.
You're going to act.
Because the fruits of the Spirit will start showing up in your life, and you'll start walking that out. Sometimes I think you'll do things you don't even understand why you're doing it. You just feel like you need to do that because the Lord is give you that unction to do that, and it's by the power of His Spirit that resides in us.
I was talking to one of our mayoral candidates, Stephen Sanders.
I listened to part of that.
Yeah,
I listened to part of that.
He said something that something along those lines that kind of tripped me out, and because I had often thought, I was like, man, if him and Adam Hernandez and some of these other cats, if they would start as a council member and run in their district, they would have been on the council already. And I was like, why don't they start at a lower level? But they just want to go mayor. You know what I'm saying? Mayor.
I remember. I heard that part where you asked him that question.
Yeah.
And
he said, well, Jesus told me to run for mayor.
Yeah.
And I said,
can't argue with that, I guess.
Well, there you go. He didn't say start at the bottom.
Yeah. And if he heard from the Lord like that, well, he heard from the Lord like that.
Yeah.
But I remember that conversation that you had with him.
It was such a baffling thing to me why they never start. I would, if I was going to run for something, I'd run. I need the education first. I need to run for something where I can learn how stuff works. I need to be the dog catcher first. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that would be me, because I think a person needs to understand the nuts and bolts of it before they can really truly be successful at the top of it. Because if you don't understand what's going on over here, you're not going to be able to manage that like a mayor should be. And that's my thoughts too. That's
what I was thinking. So I was baffled. Like, why don't you start like that? He said, well, Jesus said, oh, well, there you go.
Can't argue that, can you?
No, you can't. If you felt that, hey.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's just, he shut the whole thing. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, next question. Man. You went to Coronado High School.
I did.
Back in the day. And you was telling me something funny one time. You and Stephen Canup both went to Coronado High School at roughly the same time and didn't even know each other.
No, we just knew of each other because we both played sports.
Okay.
But, yeah, I knew who he was.
Okay.
We didn't run around together. He was actually a senior when I was a sophomore at Coronado.
I see.
And he graduated in what would be 1970. I graduated in 72.
Okay.
But then years later, we came across each other walking into the Clemens unit in Amarillo, Texas, some 50 years later.
Wow.
And we never had I just recognized his name because it's an unusual name.
It sure is, yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
So,
and you talking about things that God set up.
Right.
That seems interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Huh. How was Coronado back in the day? When I graduated in 92, and I went to Lubbock High. The reason I went to Lubbock High, we was at McKenzie. I was in Coronado's district.
Yeah.
Or feeder or whatever.
Yeah.
But all my homeboys was like, well, rich kids going to Coronado, you know, man. Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, you know, all my homeboys going to Lubbock High, so I'm going to go over there too. And I kind of shared that sentiment too. Oh, these hoity-toity kids, man, they kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So back in the days, that's the kind of feel I had about Coronado. I wouldn't know because I never went, but you felt like it was the hoity-toity rich kid school. Was
Yeah.
it like that?
Maybe somewhat. I mean, my family wasn't rich, but I know I ran around with a lot of kids that their family were prominent members of the community. You know, the Furs family from Furs
wow.
Supermarket and all that, and,
Wow.
and some others. You know,
Yeah.
their dads were bankers and things like that.
I guess that's at every school. You're going to have a few rich kids at every
Sure.
school. You know.
And J.T. King, the football coach at Texas Tech back then, his daughter, we were in the same grade through McKenzie. I went to McKenzie as well for 2 years, and then, of course, went to Coronado after that.
Yeah. Somebody was telling me we got a little intern at work, and she was saying that Coronado now is ghetto.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't. I was like, what? Really?
Well, I would think that most of the prominent people are going to Lubbock Cooper and to the Friendship School districts.
Yeah.
I mean, because everything is moved south and west.
Yeah.
You
That was
know,
just
everything.
mind-boggling.
The inner city. I'm calling the inner city things inside the loop, basically.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't built a new high school here in Lubbock since they built Coronado in 1965.
Oh.
66, I think 65. So Lubbock Independent School District is stagnated itself inside the city limits.
Yeah.
And they're even tearing down schools.
Yeah.
You know, I watched O.L. Slayton get demolished.
Couldn't believe that.
Been here for 80 years, and I drove by it every day on Avenue Q as the demolition process was going on, and I just shook my head. Why tear down something that could be used for something?
Seemed like you could take that building, clean it up, fix what needs fixing, and do something with it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tear down something that's already built.
Yeah, me either. I did a little video reel on that. Just stood out there across the street and gave my opinion on that to myself, of course.
Yeah.
Because it made no sense to me.
Yeah. I tell you what, my memory of O.L. Slayton was I was a wrestler. It was at McKenzie. When I was at McKenzie, I used to I wrestled all through high school, but when I was at McKenzie wrestling, we went over to O.L. Slayton for a meet, and I saw my opponent come out on the mat. He was a little skinny dude. I said, oh, well, I'm finna tear this dude up.
Yeah.
Woo-wee, it's finna, boy, y'all get the camera. Y'all need to tape this or something. It's finna be crazy. I went out there too cocky, and this dude was skinny, but knew his moves.
And quick, I guess.
Boy, he knocked me out. I was pinned before I even realized, like, couldn't move. I was stuck, and it was like, match over. I was like,
Who was that masked man, huh?
how did I get pinned? I thought I had him. I grabbed him, and then next thing I know, I can't even move. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
That's my O.L. Slayton memory right there. But why would you tear that down? My wife she wanted to walk around the track.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, can't do it now.
Can you do it now? Yeah, that was one of the first things they tore out when they started that.
Yep.
Pull that track out of there.
That seemed like such a waste.
Well, it is. I view it as a waste.
And there's a lot of other schools that there's another school they're trying to tear down. I know they're trying to shut down 3 of them.
Yep. I know Hodges, they've shut it down. I know that.
And I think they're trying to shut Dunbar down, or Estacado, or one of them.
Maybe. I don't know. I know the schools I went to on the east side, they haven't been used in years. I went to Posey Elementary, and then I went to Bozeman, Kenneth Bozeman Elementary, and they haven't been used in years. But the buildings are still there. I don't know what they're being built for, but. And then there's another elementary school over there that shut down. It's Parkway Elementary.
Yeah.
It's closed down.
Yep.
So.
I think it seems like, I've heard Adam Hernandez and his group talk about revitalizing Lubbock inside the loop and trying to use some of the taxes for that. That kind of makes sense, I guess, in a way. But then again, if things are naturally evolving out to the south and west, then I don't know how you would stop that.
I don't think you can fight that flow. If that's where people want to move, that's where it's going to go.
Yeah.
I don't think you can kick against the goads, if you will.
Right.
I mean, if that's what people want to do, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I know we've spent a lot of money on the east side and even the north side trying to redo things and make it more enticing, but they've made some better homes and living conditions over there, but I don't think things are going to move that direction because of that.
No.
You know, and not even in the area where Kingdom Towers is downtown. I mean, we're downtown.
Yeah.
They're doing some things there to keep things up, but people are not just going to move in there by the droves anymore. That's old Lubbock.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
I used to consider that central Lubbock, that area there, but now they consider central Lubbock over on 50th Street in Indiana. Okay, that's central Lubbock. That was kind of getting to the outskirts when I was growing up.
Yep. I heard the mayor say one time in a city council meeting, he said, or it might have been a city manager, I can't remember, but he said the center of Lubbock is now the South Plains Mall. And I was like, what?
Well,
Dang.
maybe it is.
But either way, it's down where we talking about.
Yeah.
It's not up here now. It's
Yeah.
way over here.
I remember when I was in high school. I remember when it was built, and I think it was around 1970. That was one of the few things that were outside Loop 289.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a car dealership over there was just on the other side of the loop on the slide was Don Crow Chevrolet. Okay. But that was the only thing outside the loop.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember when I was a kid, we used to go to, I think it was Skate Ranch, and it seemed like it was in the country. It seemed like it was so far away. It was in the country.
It was out there off the Brownfield Highway.
Right, it's nowhere. Yeah. It's like right there. It's like, that's not far away. What are you?
Yeah.
Huh. And Texas Water Rampage was the other one. It seemed like that was in another town or something. But it's
right. Well, it was out there then.
It was then. Yeah. And I remember growing up, the Strip, I think was what was that, about 82nd, about 89th or something like that. That was the end of Lubbock.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe not as far as 98th, but out
98th,
there,
yeah.
It's probably starting at 98th Street.
Yeah.
What we would know, it was just Farm Market Road then. But yeah. Yeah, the Strip. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Made a few trips out there, okay?
I never went to the Strip. I don't know what to talk. No. That was my home away from home when I was a kid. Man, what am I doing? Yeah, it's so funny how Lubbock has grown, though.
It has. It's grown a lot.
And it doesn't really feel the same. Parts of it do, but parts of it don't. And I think about my grandpa. He stay back here over here on 38th and L.
Okay.
And his little apartment is still over there. Little apartment buildings are still right there.
I bet I know where that is.
The little brown ones.
Sure.
The little three unit brown ones. He used to stay in the middle one over there.
Yeah.
And that whole area has just died, though.
It has.
I'm like, man, it did not look like this back in the day. It didn't feel like that back in the day. It just felt like a neighborhood. Now it feels kind of like sketchy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, when people start migrating, when those generations start dying off, there's no one else is coming back into those areas, and it's sad. But I mean, I sit and watch. I drive around Lubbock all the time, of course, and I see things that aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
What used to be on this corner where it's something else now, and this and that. It's just like this building here. I remember when it was Acme Brick.
Yep, me too.
Okay, years ago.
Yep.
And so I can still see that as I come down through here.
Yeah, I used to laugh at that because Acme, the road runner in there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, that's a real place?
Yeah.
What kind of bricks they got in Acme Brick?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a trip, man. Yeah, Lubbock is the east side, and this is the sad thing. A lot of people are trying to, like you say, they want to revitalize the east side and north and east Lubbock, Nelco, and all that. And I wish them good luck. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I can't. I've watched it for years, and I praise what they're trying to do. It's not like that, but I just know that when migrations of cities head one way, there's a reason for it, and that's probably going to you can't stop the flow of things, like that.
Yeah, not only that, a lot of people want to see, updated modern businesses and stuff in Northeast Lubbock and Nelco. I say Nelco meaning North and East Lubbock. But and then a lot of people think it's racism and it's this and that, and I'm sure there's some dishonesty or some corruption in some of these deals. That's just human. But what I see mostly is I saw somebody on Facebook one time said, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he's one of these people when they write something, you read it and you go, yeah, he clearly is in the know about some stuff. And he was saying it's just rooftops. Businesses have a formula. You want a business in a neighborhood, they need a certain amount of rooftops per square mile to support this type of business or that type of business. It's got to be a certain per capita income and stuff like that. And they do studies on that. And if you don't have that, businesses are going to look at that and be like,
why?
Can't do it.
Yep.
So
that's just numbers.
It's just numbers.
We can't change that. I agree. And I grew up for the early part of my life on the east side. Mm-hmm. So I understand, and I understand when the migration started. Because Lubbock used to be a very segregated city. Okay, you probably know that as well as I do. Mm-hmm. And when that happened in '67 or '68, that's when the east side, there was a vacuum on the east side. People moved to the west side. Mm-hmm. Okay, the white people I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Okay, we got to be real here with this, because the blacks started moving in from across the Idalou Highway. Well, Lubbock, being a segregated place, did not like that.
Right.
So, and my family was one of them, to be quite honest.
From Idalou Highway, they was coming from where?
From the Dunbar Heights area, coming across over East 19th Street, if you will. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
And so and people were afraid of their property values and all of that, and homes started going up to FHA loans, and so here we go, and that's how we wound up on the west side. My family did, because back then it was a fairly prosperous community over there.
Yeah,
I mean there was a United, not the one that's over there now.
No, that old United. I used to work at that one.
Yeah, the one over there at McKenzie Terrace or McKenzie Village Shopping Center.
No, I used to know that one when there was TG&Y.
That was in there. There was a TG&Y there, and there was a United supermarket there as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, actually, where the food stamp office is now.
Right.
How they make an L right there, right?
Yeah.
Well, there used to be split right there, a drive-through where you could drive through to get to 4th Street from the parking lot. TG&Y was sitting there on the one, and then there was United where that senior citizen place is now.
Yeah.
That was the United store right there.
Okay. Huh.
That's been a long time ago.
About what time was that?
Yeah, I was in the mid to late 60s.
Okay. I remember my earliest remembrances of the area was right across the street where them bingo halls and big bingo halls are.
Right.
That used to be a Furs, I believe.
It did. Yeah, I remember that.
And it was Brooks Supermarket.
Sure.
Right down the east on Parkway Drive.
That's right. Yeah.
It was Brooks Supermarket, and then it became. What did it turn into?
I don't know what it became after that, but I remember when it was Brooks Supermarket.
Yeah, and they renamed it something.
Before that barbecue place was there, before the Blue Boxes was there, but way before then.
And Blue Box was a butcher shop. I used to know the dude. I went to school with, his name was Robert Newbern. His dad built that building and put Newbern's Meat and Grocers.
I'd forgotten all about that.
Right there. That's what Blue Box used to be.
Yeah.
I think it was still blue, too.
Yeah, Blue Box used to be a liquor store out there on East 19th Street.
Oh, okay.
That's what I remember.
Right.
Before we went liquor by the drink in Lubbock and, sold packages store. I think that's when they migrated in.
That is a trip. What was it like when you used to live on the east side? It was predominantly white back in them days?
Yeah, over there in that Cherry Point area and over there, from Guava to Martin Luther King and all that was,
Wow. That's what I heard. We got a ghost story in the family. I don't want to get into it. My grandma's house used to be over there on East First Place. 1721 East First Place. Phone number was 744. Oh man, it's fading away now. I used to know the phone number. But anyway, my aunts, when they were kids, used to stay there, of course, and there was a ghost in the house. I experienced it. It was something in there.
Yeah.
And But my Aunt Cynthia used to wake up all the time crying and say, "Mama, that white lady kissed me again." Because she said it was probably, I guess, the lady that died in that house
Right.
used to kiss her at night and wake her up. And she could see her, apparently. You didn't, when I was there, you couldn't see it per se, but you could. I don't want to get into the ghost story. I'm getting into it now. It's too late now. So you be sitting there like this watching TV, like it's a square, rectangular room. It's got a kitchen on this side, like the dining room right there, a table and a nice china cabinet built in. It's a big, nice house. China cabinet built in, the kitchen right there. You'd be sitting in the living room, there's a little carpet up to the kitchen, and the TV was in the corner right here. So you'd be sitting like this on the couch watching TV, and there was a wall right here. And you go back in the hallway. Well, right around that wall, everybody that I ever met in my life, they stay at that house, would see something looking around the wall, like, and you're seeing it out of your peripheral vision. Somebody's head come out like that. But when you look, there's nothing.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody saw that. I saw it. My homeboy Mike we used to live there. We saw it. And I told this story before. I had a brilliant idea. I'm so smart. I say, oh man, I know what I'm going to do. Next time I'm watching TV and that thing, whatever it is, look at me and lean out from the wall and look at me. I say, I ain't going to look at the wall like it. The china cabinet is right there. It's got glass in it. I'm going to look at that glass and see the reflection of whatever's on the side of that wall. I said, yeah, let it stick his head out again. It stuck his head out again. I said, that's all right. I didn't want to lie. I say, nah, I better not look. See something I don't want to see.
Yeah, well.
But East
First Place, is that dead end into Beach Avenue?
It is a dead end. I think it's a cul-de-sac at the end of that street.
Yeah.
But I said all that to say that it was a white lady's ghost. So from back when it was white, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe so.
That was a trip, man, and that must have been, like you say, in the '60s. They was probably living there in about the late '60s.
Yeah, my parents moved around. We lived over on East 8th Street, East 8th, East Bates, East Colgate, East Amherst.
Wow.
They moved. I don't know why they kept moving.
Yeah.
Just jumping from house to house.
Huh.
So I went to school over there to Alderson was last year, 7th grade. Then we moved.
Somebody told me one time that the tornado is what kind of forced integration. Do you recall it like that?
Well, I don't remember it like that. And I was here when the tornado hit in 1970, of course, but I don't remember that. Of course, I was in high school. Maybe I just wasn't perceptive.
Right. She was an older lady, and she was saying because so much got destroyed, you had to get a house where you could, and you had to get.
Well, I mean, I can see that to a certain point because those areas over there just north of where Kingdom Towers is on 16th Street, a lot of that stuff all the way back was all flattened. You know, from the Great Plains Life Building, we know it as Metro Towers now, but everything north of there was rubble. And that was all neighborhoods where the Civic Center and the Buddy Holly Arts Center is and all that. That was all flattened.
Wow.
There wasn't anything there.
Huh.
Yeah. So I can see people having to migrate, but most of those communities over there were Hispanic communities in that area.
Yeah.
So from that angle, I don't see how that could work as far as integration, as far as the black people into.
And in I think areas. Maybe she was saying because Estacada was built in what 60
they were bought. Estacada was built in '67, I believe, because they won that state championship in '68.
Okay.
And the first year they wouldn't let them play varsity. Their first year in existence, they made them wait until their second year, and then of course they won the state championship that year.
Yeah, and
that's why I remember that because of the year.
Yeah. So this lady was saying that because I think Estacada was supposed to be a wealthy little school for wealthier kids because it was right there by the country club, and them kids were supposed to come. I could be mixing it up.
Well, I think that might have got redistricted for those kids for the country club to go there. I think because Lubbock High was getting strained with the population in because everybody from the east side and from the north side, they were all being fed into Lubbock High School then. That was one of the reasons they built Estacado. Yeah, and I misspoke a while ago when I said Coronado was the last one built. It was really actually Estacado within 2 or 3 years of each other.
Okay.
So Estacado was really the last high school that's been built for the Lubbock Independent School District.
Are they still a high school? I think they are, right?
Who?
Estacado.
Yeah, I think
Dunbar
so.
is it's still a high school too, right?
I'm not sure if
is-
Estacado, they may have changed that into something
Like
else.
an early college.
Dunbar, or rather.
Yeah. I think Estacado says early college, so I guess it's still a high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've changed this up so much restructured things from the way that we used to do them. That,
Yeah, when I was here, when I left, we had 5 high schools, and it was Coronado, Monterey, Lubbock High, Estacado, and Dunbar.
Yeah.
That was it.
well, it still is.
Well,
If-
now you
if-
got Lubbock Cooper and
But those are different school districts.
oh, right.
But you're right. I mean, they are Lubbock schools, but
Yeah.
because of the city limits has gone out there, just the school district hasn't. They didn't. I guess they didn't want to take ownership of all that. I'm not really sure why they did that.
Yeah. Well, the town has changed, but a lot of stuff I feel like has remained the same. When I used to live here before, I think the population was 180,000. Now it's 265 or so.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, Lubbock is really a good place, though. A lot of good people, a lot of generous people, a lot of forgiving people. I wouldn't take Lubbock for any other town to live in. Another town at all. And I've lived in a lot of different places through the years, working construction and doing things. But I've always seemed to come back here. It's more of a homey feel, not just because I grew up here. It's just because of the people.
Yeah. Yep. When we came back in what was that 2020? We came back for a wedding in 2020, I think.
22. We came back in 22.
I mean, when we visited,
It was 21 for a wedding and 2022.
it wasn't 20 and 21. Well, anyway, back in the early 20s, we came back for a wedding. My little brother got married,
Okay.
and I got 3 little brothers. So my first little brother got married, and we came back for that. And that's when we realized, like, it's all right. Well,
Yeah.
then the next year, my other little brother got married, so we came back for that. And that's when we was looking around like, yo, this all right, man.
Actually 21, and then we started looking around. And then when he got married in 22, we already solidified, and then we moved like 2 months down.
Oh, okay.
Because it was January, and we came down in March, or the tail end of March of 2022.
Okay. Y'all heard that, right? I can't explain all that. Basically, in 2022, we moved down here. But the reason we moved down here is just what you said. When we got back, it was quiet, man. It's peaceful. People are nice. We coming from, keep in mind, we coming from D.C. area at the time.
I've never been there. I can only imagine.
You ain't missing nothing.
Yeah.
And you can go and spend 2 days, go to a couple of nice restaurants, go see a museum or two, and then I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's get on back out of here. And that's what we say. We came back here. It was just nice, man. It was just cool. And we was riding around, and it was that year they had that big ice storm, and we was riding around in the car and stuff. And I said, man, babe, what you think about moving back here? And she said, yeah, I could do that. And as soon as she said that, I said, hey, man, what was your realtor's name? Called my homeboy.
Right.
Yeah.
You made a good choice, didn't you?
I feel like we did. I feel, like I said, not only because I'm from here, but I've lived plenty of places. And first of all, none of them even feel like cool, like laid back like this. And second of all, the people, when you came back here, you see dudes and look like dirty work clothes and boots like they just got off work and going up to the corner store, and you walk in behind them, they hold the door for you and say, hey, how you doing, sir? You never see that anywhere.
Yeah.
I ain't never seen that nowhere.
Yeah.
D.C. to California, I ain't never seen that.
I lived out in Los Angeles for a while, and in Denver, and a lot of years in the Houston area working in the refineries.
Yeah. Nah.
You're not going to see that.
And Houston, that's my, my other Texas city that I roll with, because my wife from there, and we got family and friends there. So I'm cool with Houston too, but
Yeah. But it's not Lubbock.
it's not low. And it's too. One time we was down there with my cousin. It's like my brother. I just might as well call him my brother. And we was running some errands, and we jumped in the truck and we riding. After a while, man, I said, man, we've been riding around for 5 hours in traffic.
Yep, that can happen real easy.
All day. We left at 12. It's 5:08.
Did you ever get to where you wanted to go?
Oh, we did, but it was only like 3 things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, when I lived there all those years, I really didn't think too much about that.
Right.
Until later, and
I'm getting spoiled now, boy. I like my little brothers, man. We on one side of the town, and we like I was at the doctor's office downtown over here, and they was like, well, they got some on 82nd Street. I say, 82nd Street, man, that's
10 minutes away.
That's a long drive.
No matter where you are, it's only 10 or 15 minutes away.
But back in the days, I used to drive hours to work one way. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm like, 82nd.
Did you catch yourself?
No, I did, but I said I still feel that way. It ain't far, but I still feel that way. Well, Steve, we've been chopping it up for about an hour, I guess, man. We better go on and get out of here. They looking at us right now, talking about, man, these folks, they just talking about everything. Sometimes you chop it up like that, you know. Is there anything you wanted to add before we get off?
Well, one thing, I want to give you a plug, my friend, because you do so much great work for our ministries and doing all the video work for us, and always so creative. This guy is a creative guy, and he's so easy to work with, and he understands what you want to do and how you want to do it. And I've watched him through the years doing the videos for us, and he's always done a fantastic job. So if there's anyone out there ever needing any video work, I'm telling you that Robert Jenkins is the man that you need to get a hold of. He will absolutely do a professional job and have fun doing it with you. He'll be a part of it with you, not just coming in and doing something. He's a part of what you're doing, and he is extremely engaged and interested in you. And that's a big thing in these days and times. So just want to give you a plug for that, Robert. And I mean that sincerely, my friend.
Well, thank you very much. And I know you do, and it means a lot coming from a man like you.
Yeah.
And he's right, man. Y'all, you hit me up. You need some video. I ain't gonna lie. We'll hook it up for you.
Yeah.
If you don't need no video, you can just go on and watch these videos. And, you know what I'm saying? LBK, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. It's been a pleasure sitting here with Steve Taylor.
Yeah, my pleasure, Robert. Enjoyed it.
Indeed. So y'all stay tuned, man. We'll come back next week as we always do. Lord, say the same. But for now, we're gonna say peace.
Amen.